T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. This is Retic Reflections. This is episode 4, Breeder Consultation with Alex Carr. I'm your host, Rob Roush. This is say hello to my co-host, Derek Stack.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Retic Reflections. As Rob said, this is episode 4 for us. And Rob, are you still with us? Oh, no. Rob, go out and come back in, buddy. Hey, guys, good evening. Here on Retic Reflections, we're going to have our guest Alex on tonight. Rob's going to do a little bit of one of his consultations that he is pioneering through Island Morphs. So you'll kind of get a feel for what to expect with that. And that way, you know, you'll have that one-on-one experience through Rob and Alex. I'm going to take a step back and kind of monitor behind the scenes. That way, both our guest and host can fully focus on each other through the consultation. And, you know, we can all try to learn a little bit from whatever questions Alex has for Rob and, you know, whatever we decide to reflect on. How does that sound, Rob?
That sounds amazing, man. I only heard a little bit of it, but it sounded amazing.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring us back to the thumb, and I'm going to bring Alex on stage with you, and you guys can kind of just kick things off, and I'll be here if you need me. You just, you know, call on me if there's something I can do for you, all right?
Thanks, buddy.
All right, I'll see you in a moment.
All righty.
Rob.
I got no audio on you, buddy.
No audio on me?
Got no audio. Jump out and come back in real quick.
Can you hear me? All right, guys. Well, it's just me again. Can you hear me? I hope. But looks like we're just having a couple connection issues. Can you guys hear me in the comments?
Gotcha.
All right, Rob. Can you hear me, Rob?
I got you.
Alex?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Absolutely. You know, maybe I just chill here and I'm just gonna hang out. We'll see. I'll try removing myself again, but you know, you guys, Alex, welcome to the show. So good to have you on. I'm gonna let you and Rob kind of take over, and you guys can do your thing, and hopefully that we don't have any more technical issues.
Okay.
You know,
maybe Alex needs to stop fucking with his phone. Alex, get your fucking phone settled, and let's do this fucking podcast, please.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. As long as we can see your face, you're
Can
fine,
you hear
buddy.
me?
Yep,
Yeah,
I can hear you
gotcha.
fine.
God bless America.
All right,
Oh.
perfect.
Is
Throw
this
a-
happening? Is it happening?
Throw a brick there, whatever you need, buddy. All right. Well, Rob, while he's figuring it out, how's your week going, bud?
I tell you what, man, things are going pretty good. I'm enjoying life right now and having fun. How about you, man?
I mean, it doesn't get more fun than this. I'm saying, you know. But while we just we're gonna watch Alex futz around a little bit. But
Yeah.
any updates with your collection at home while he gets settled in?
I think that 2 of my females may be reabsorbing, so a little bit of a downfall there. But you know, that's part of it.
Yeah, we gotta start the show with a high note, Rob. What are you doing? We're not talking about reabsorption here. That's not part of the game, okay? But Alex, how are you feeling? You feel like you're locked in?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
All right, guys, I'm going to give you both the floor, and I'm going to let you do your thing, okay? Stop messing with the phone, Alex. You look perfect. I don't need you to... you don't
Going
need to
back
mess with it
landscape.
anymore.
My bad.
Don't worry about it. I can see your face, and that's pretty much all we need. So, guys, have at it.
All right. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Man, a lot better now that I've got that figured out.
I got no audio on you.
No audio on me.
No audio.
I can hear you both fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, Rob, you can hear me. Alex, you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I got
But
you
not
now,
Rob.
Alex.
Rob, oh, you got
No, I
Alex?
can't hear Rob.
How about now?
What is going on?
All right, MJ, you got to come in here and save the show, buddy.
All right. Holy shit. All right, let's do this real quick, okay? Alex needs to stop fucking around with his phone first and foremost. He needs to put his phone down and just leave it. Rob, can you hear us just fine?
I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
This is wild. Derek, how do you feel, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I just did a crazy pull workout at the. I mean, you're asking about how I feel personally, right? So
Yeah, I hope so. Great.
yeah, I'm doing good. Especially coming off of new breeder on the block. I was really motivated.
It was a quick answer question. Okay, love you, buddy. All right, here we go. Alex.
Yes, I can hear you, MJ.
Rob.
I got you.
Do you hear Alex?
Yes.
Oh,
I cannot hear Rob.
Oh, man.
What is going on? Okay, didn't you just have a microphone hooked up, Alex? Like, I'm wondering.
I did. I did. I
took
took it out because I continued to have problems.
Do me a favor, Alex. And just to confirm, you're clicking the link through the text message, not through Instagram, right?
Yep.
Okay. This is the last resort. Shut your phone all the way off and then come back on, click the link through the text message. I'm pretty sure that will fix it. So just do that. And then Derek, you and Rob shoot the shit. God bless you.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're bound to have one of these episodes. Am I right? So.
Never a dull moment, man. We just got to roll with the punches and keep having fun, man. That's it.
Absolutely. So aside from anything positive coming out of the Roush house with the Retics recently, I know you're got a lot on your hands lately. So
yeah, all kinds of things have been happening here. With the last 4 weeks or so, I've got 3, 4, 5 stacks of racks and I don't know, 10 or 13 cages. So doing a big overhaul on both the rooms and reorganizing a bunch of snakes, and at the same time trying to breed and do the things we love to do, so it's crazy over here.
Hey man, nothing better than being busy, especially in the snake world. I mean, the time old phrase of if you're not facing trials and tribulations, you're not growing, right? So
absolutely no such thing as failure, man. We just learn. That's all. Just learn and learn and learn.
Yeah. I mean, as far as a quick update with me, I mean, I've been
how's it going?
Just working hard at Canova, making sure the collection here at home's good. All the green tree pythons are healthy. I'm nursing a prolapse, but he looks incredibly healthy, so that's blessings there. But we'll see what comes of that. And it looks like Alex is hopefully back with us. Can you hear us, Alex?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
How
Rob,
about me,
say
Alex?
something.
Can you hear me?
Rob, I can hear you now.
Yay! We did it.
I can't hear you anymore.
You can't hear me anymore? Derek, get back in here.
No.
It looks like whenever I'm taken out of the
can't hear
video,
Derek
Alex can't
As
hear
soon
us.
as Derek cuts out, I'm gone.
Derek.
But
All right,
okay.
So Derek, you're just gonna fucking stick around. Alex, go and exit, come back in one more time, and then Derek, just stay in because I don't know why.
I'm just gonna chill for now, man. I'm
I
good.
can't hear Derek.
I'm gonna come out and come back in too.
Okay. Oh my God. Rob, can you hear us?
I totally got you.
Rob, just for the sake, exit out and come back in. I'm
Okay.
going to talk to the people, and I'm going to have to tell everyone, thank you so much for your patience. When it comes to running your own podcast, it's not always that easy. You deal with technical difficulties all the time. You got to roll with the punches. I appreciate the support. I just want to say I love Rob so much. He has such a big heart. There's nobody better in the retic world than Rob to be talking about reticulated pythons. So, Rob, I just gave you a bunch of flowers to tell everybody how much I love you, just so you know.
Oh, man, I love you too. And maybe you're not telling me the truth. Maybe you're just over there like, fuck this guy.
No, I promise you, rewind it. I just fucking said nobody else better to talk about retics than you. You're
Oh, I
swear.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no worries. And then Derek, I said I like your eyes.
Hey, thanks, buddy. They're brown as shit, but hey, someone's got to love them.
Hey, I'm down with the brown, if you know what I mean, right? All right, so you hear Rob just fine, Derek?
Oh yeah, I hear both of you great. Yeah.
Okay, so God bless, man. Let's just when Alex comes in again, drop him in and just hang out, Derek.
I'm just gonna throw a black sheet over my camera, so it's like I'm not here.
What if Alex is like, oh, I can't hear the audio anymore?
What?
I'm just kidding.
Alex, hey, we've got our guest MJ on the pod tonight.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Dude,
hey. Tell us about your retics from times past.
I think people are sick of my voice at this point. So, Alex,
all right, Alex, can you hear us?
Yeah.
I got nothing
Yes,
on nobody.
I can hear you both now. Well, hopefully I can hear Rob.
Fuck out of here.
I'm not going anywhere, buddy. You guys, do your thing.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Rob, don't touch your phone. Stop it. Why can't anybody just not touch their phone?
What is going on?
Alex,
it's not you, Alex. It's not you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just hang tight. Here's Rob. This is gonna work. I swear.
I swear. Hello? Anybody?
I hear you. I hear you, Rob.
Nothing.
Rob, I hear you.
Nothing.
This is insanity. This is just insanity.
Do you think this is
I hear
because
you, MJ.
could this be because I'm logged in on my desktop as well as my phone?
Anybody?
Maybe. Rob, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it could be the fact that we're confusing it because we're both hosts and we're on right now. So let me get out and try this one more time, okay? Let me get out and see if that works. And then if not, Derek, text me on your phone that, hey, we're still fucked.
Okay. Got it.
Sounds good, brother.
Hey, shots to viewers.
All right, Rob, you can hear me, right?
I can't hear Derek. Nothing. Oh, man. Well, now I'm here. It's just me. So, anybody got any questions? Not that I can read them.
You should be able to. Anyway, can you hear me now?
I got Derek.
All right, so now we're just waiting for Alex.
Okay, me and you are in.
All right, here it comes now.
I downloaded the app to try that. Hopefully that works.
I hear you, Alex. Rob, can you hear Alex? Are you for real?
I can hear Rob.
All right. So we only have one more thing to try. Okay, so I'm going to... Damn, I can't... All right, but you hear me, right, Rob?
I hear you.
And Alex, you can't hear us.
I can hear you.
What about me?
I can hear Rob.
I can hear
Thank
Alex.
God.
I can't hear Derek.
I hope.
Perfect.
We're going. I love it, man. This was awesome.
Man, this is...
And that's a consultation, so tune in next week.
Man, can't believe people pay for this. That's crazy.
Oh, man. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Let's just jump right into it now, man.
Sounds good.
The first thing I like to do when I do a consultation is I like to ask the person I'm doing the consultation with, what is your 1-year goal and 5-year goal? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to be producing? What do you want to be? What do you want?
Well, within the next year, hoping to do pure tribals, pure Philippine tribals with my tribal female. I have a F1 Mindanao male that I had planned to put her to kind of continue tribal. going with it. That's the short term. Long term, 5 years. I wanted to get that first tribal clutch out of the way, so I had a few tribals to kind of utilize because things happen. And putting albino into tribal, and possibly later on trying ocelot. But that may be a little bit farther down than 5 years even.
All right, perfect. Okay. You personally, how big, how bad, how crazy do you want to be as a breeder?
Man, I've never really set an expectation to that, I don't think.
Okay.
I enjoy taking care of them. I enjoy doing them. I guess I would just have to get into it and kind of figure it out. I wanted to start small and kind of grow into business instead of go into business. And just kind of see where it takes me. I don't think I want to be large scale. I don't think that's my thing. I think it's probably more, at least right now, just 1 to 2 clutches a year. But we'll kind of see how that goes.
All right. How much time do you want to devote to this? And you could say it weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever makes the most sense to you.
Oh man. As far as like, in what context?
So let's say years 1 through 2. You're producing 1 to 2, maybe even 3 clutches a year. What do you think that time frame looks like? How many hours are you putting in weekly producing those kind of clutches, or how many hours do you want to be putting in, I should say?
I put in a lot of hours just taking care of them as it is, because I focus a lot on behavior, spending a lot of hours with them. And that's something that I kind of want to be a marketing point, I guess, for my business model is, these snakes are around people, they're around me. I get to know their personality, so you know what you're getting into. That's something that I feel very strongly about, because my first retic, he's not very nice at all. Never has been. I've spent a lot of time with him, so that is something that I really take pride in. So probably quite a bit of time. I spend at least a couple hours every day in here with them. One's out every day, kind of roaming the rooms. As far as a timeline of like exact amount, man, it's hard to say. Man, I kind of look at it as another full-time job. Like you're at least putting in 30 or 40 hours every week doing it.
Awesome. Okay. So what would be your first goal then for this first year? Just to try to be producing the tribals? Pure locality?
Yeah. So there is a snow female that I'm getting from a friend. She's a little bit older. And she's about 15 to 16 years old.
Okay.
And I wanted to try to put my first retic Apollo. He's Posset Snow. So purple Posset Anery. And I wanted to, he looks very good. His pattern's very symmetrical. He has great color. And I wanted to, before I moved on from him and made space, I wanted to try to breed him to see if he had any of those hets. So a successful clutch there and kind of proving him out would be great this first year.
Okay.
And then the pure tribals. But with this being Raya's first go at it, it would just be an introduction, and then hopefully she goes.
All right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As far as this first year is concerned, where do you think I could help you the most?
Man, probably in just the introductions of retics, knowing, introducing the male to the female, kind of cueing in on those signals, the behavior portion of it, when to put the male in, when to kind of read that the female is not receptive to that at all, knowing when to pull them out, knowing how often to kind of repeat the process. And then with the 15-year-old female, I think she may have had one or two times in the past where she's had a little bit of trouble, like it just didn't go, or she slugged out. And kind of getting her up to fitness, and seeing if she's capable of doing that, kind of getting her in her best form, so that I can throw a male to her and see if we can get a viable clutch out of it.
Okay. So I think we should break that into two categories if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just do basic how I would instruct you to breed, right? And then let's go over maybe a little more advanced with that snow female.
Okay.
Okay. So kind of give us the 1-2 punch, so to speak, right?
Sure.
So you already have your male picked out. You already have your females picked out. As far as deciding what to breed to what, you're good. It's more or less, just kind of reiterating, the actual processes that we would put in place to have the best chance for success. So the way I look at that is a couple of different things. One, I'm going to kind of condition them food-wise. And by that, I mean, I'm a big fan of emulating what happens in the wild, right? So whatever I see or find out that is happening in the wild, or what I believe is actually happening, right? So I believe in the spring or right before the spring, there's a big influx of food, right? Everything's been breeding. Snakes is just an abundance of food, so there's tons of food to eat. And then once they eat all this food and they're feeling fat and happy, it's just a natural progression that would kick in some pheromones, and they would start sending off those pheromones to attract the males because there's abundance of food. The babies should be able to eat instinctually. This is what's happening, right? In my theory. And I just base this off of the years that I've been doing things. This is not scientific. There's more than one way to do this. This is just one way that I would suggest. Okay. So I'm going to hit them with some more food. They're going to throw the pheromones. The male goes in, does this thing. They have a nice clutch. The baby's all hatched. There's an abundance of food, and then it kind of starves out again. Not in the sense that you're just going to quit feeding the snakes altogether, but you're going to restrict their diet a little bit and then kind of give them that increase again when it comes time for the breeding again, right? So it's an ebbs and flows. And as far as I can tell, that is what happens in the wild just naturally, right? To my knowledge, there's not a lot of animals that breed in the winter because that's a more difficult time to survive. So that's the way I would try to do that. And that's what I call food conditioning my females, right? And you'll see those females when you start to increase their food, they're gonna really want to eat, right? They're just naturally, that clock ticks or clicks in or whatever you want to call it, just starts to happen, and they're gonna get a little aggressive when they're eating, right? Yeah. If your male's cage runs a little hot, you want to drop that down a couple of degrees. You don't want him to be hot. If he's hot, it just destroys any kind of sperm activity, drops it way low. Back in the day in Pittsburgh, I had all my snakes in the basement. It was a concrete floor. I would take the males and put them in a tote and just set them right on that concrete floor for about an hour or two, kind of just drop his temperature and then put them in. Not that you have to specifically go and drop all your males' temperatures, but you don't want them to be sitting on that hot spot, hitting 90 degrees and then grabbing and put him in with the female. You have a better chance if his body temperature is a little bit lower, right?
Okay.
So those two things, huge help. If you condition them that year before you actually want to breed them, I think that's the better way, because then that second year that you're going through the motions, they kind of already have been through it. They understand it. And there's not a lot of big surprises. There's going to be some big surprises for those females once they start developing follicles and all the hormones and everything that go in it. But
Yeah.
for the most part, they're going to kind of understand that pattern, right?
Okay.
The second thing, I typically palpate the females. And when I feel follicle growth going from a pea size to more of like a decent sized marble, that's when I throw the males in. But not everybody knows how to palpate. Not everybody's really good at it. It takes a lot of practice. What I typically would tell people is on off seasons, you're cleaning these snakes once a week or pretty close to it. You should. When you put that female back in, just palpate her. You don't want to start like right behind the neck. You want to understand that first third, you got heart and lungs and stuff like that. You don't want to be squeezing on that. You want to go about halfway or a little further than halfway and just push in with your fingers, right? And you're kind of holding the back, but you're pushing in a little bit into the belly, right?
Yeah.
But opposite, right? And just do that when she climbs in and get a feel of, you'll hear that squishy, squashy, that's the stomach. And then boom, right after that, that's where you would start to feel those little bumps. Now, when you're feeding the snake, you're going to feel that in there too. And it gets a little bit complicated. That's why I say just start palpating now. There's no wrong time to start palpating. The more you do it, the better you get, just like anything else. But understanding that not everybody has that knowledge, and it's a feel kind of thing, and you just have to. The more you do it, the better you get. What I would say, a buddy of mine, Joe Hall, said, "I just throw the male in once a week, and as long as they're not fighting, I leave them in. If they do fight, I take them out." That is great advice for a new breeder. Sometimes I feel like I overcomplicate things sometimes because of the knowledge that I have, and I want to structure everything the right way, and I try to teach that, and sometimes I'm complicating a simple process. My understanding of it is you have a 2-week window for that female, and then that 2-week window, if she doesn't get the sperm to fertilize the embryos or the follicles, or however, I'm not a scientist, however that goes. If you don't get her in those 2 weeks, try again next year. So every week, seeing if that male is going to get in with that female, or seeing that male in with that female, and if they're getting along, leaving them. I wouldn't leave them in any longer than a couple of hours at first. Make sure they have a good relationship. And that's, in my opinion, that's considered an intro. An intro is a very short amount of time that you're going to put that snake in there where you can physically sit there and watch, make sure nothing bad happens. You start to feel like it's not going well, and please read into that intuition. You feel like, oh man, I don't know, it's just ain't right. I just don't feel right. Pull them out, right? But typically what you're going to see is that female doing a lot of that bucking. She may lift her tail, urinate, and wag her tail, and defecate on the male or urinate on the male. It's, in my opinion, it's a very clear sign that she's not happy. She may kind of do a leaving her vent out a little bit, and just crawling around and kind of wiping it on stuff, if you will. None of that happens. Everything looks good. Progress into a breeding situation, and then that's the difference between the intro and the breeding. Is the breeding, I would put the male in the morning or afternoon, doesn't really matter. Leave them in 24 hours, take them back out the next day. I only do 24 hours because a male needs another 3 days, my understanding, to replenish the sperm, right? If he doesn't have 3 days out of there, he doesn't have 3 days off, and he's just kind of constantly going and going and going, that's a lot of undue stress, I think. I don't know. There's not any scientific evidence saying that this is exactly what they do in the wild, or this is exactly what they do in the wild. But in my opinion, that female might crawl around and have 5, 6, 10, 100 different snakes. Try to lock her up, right?
So will your females, if you can kind of get it in a pattern, so you pair a male up to a female, and she goes, and you've kind of got it down to a science of better way to rephrase that is, if she goes in October and she's went in October this year and this year, is that what you plan for with your females? If you can kind of get it down to that, do they go at the same time every time, or is it more variable than that?
I've had a lot of females go about the same time every year. I've had females that would breed 1 year, take a year off, and that's kind of hit the reset button. But they typically will revert back to that pattern once it's established. A good rule of thumb is that they can breed anywhere between 10 months and 12 months from the last time. They typically stay pretty close to the same time. So that first year, you're just trying to figure out what that is, when that time is, right? And once you know that time, then you can base everything and tweak things a little bit better for the next year and have even better success. But that first year is pretty much hit and miss. And I usually advise people that if they do take a year off, it's like hitting the reset button, start from scratch again.
So if you have a female that has a successful clutch and she goes, let's say that she's fairly young, 4 or 5, and she successfully goes, do you give her a year off and then go back to it again? Like, give her a year off, or can you go consecutive years with the same female?
You can go consecutive years. The female will tell you what she's capable of. One of the things I always say is if you listen to the snakes, listen to their body language, you're spending a good bit of time in there with your snakes. You get to know them real well. And, you know, their quirks and stuff. It's the same with when it comes to breeding them. The more you know, the more time you've spent with them, the more years you've dealt with that snake and put them through these breeding seasons, the more knowledge you get. You pay attention to them and just kind of listen to them, and they'll let you know. You go to throw that male in at that time that you know is supposed to be in, and she's tail wagging and urinating and defecating and whatnot. Yeah, she's probably going to take the year off. Keep trying, because sometimes they'll do that in the beginning. She could be a couple of weeks off of what her schedule was. It's not a definite, October 10th every year the snake breeds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a roundabout, right? And I think that's one of the things that you'll see if you talk to a bunch of different breeders. They'll all have a slightly different way that they breed. And I think that's because of that, right? It's not an exact science. It's more of a, the more you do it, the more you get a feel for it. The females that I've had in my collection for a while, I know them real well. So I can walk in and just tell you, oh, I hit her with a meal, she'll take it.
Yeah.
She'll take the male. She'll be acceptive. So you get what you put in. I can't express that enough with these snakes. If you don't handle it, you're going to be getting bit. If you don't pay attention to what's happening and what that female or that male is telling you, you run the risk of not being able to breed them. The more time you spend, the better it is, right?
Yeah. Do you run into a female may not be receptive to a certain male? Like, you've got a male for this female picked out. You put him in there and it's just no bueno. She's not going. Will you throw another male in there if you have another viable option? Maybe it's your backup plan.
So for me personally, no. I typically will have the male picked out for that female, and for certain reasons and trying to achieve certain things in my breeding process. And if I don't have a clone of that male, that's the only male I'm breeding.
Okay.
Right. And there's a lot of different things that you could do. I think when we could start talking about different tips and tricks with this snow female. But I would just want to make sure that you're rock solid for the pure tribals. Yeah.
That's been my goal ever since I got her, was to be able to produce more of those. And then the long term was, tribal albino, which is kind of down the line, but getting her to a certain maturity, I guess you could say. She's about 8 feet right now, give or take. She's about 8 or 9. And I guess that kind of leads into the other question. This fall, she'll be 3.5, 4, something like that. Is there, I think she was born in April. Is there a certain length that you go to, or if they're at 3.5 and they're just not, if they're just not this length, they're just not this weight, or they just don't look like they're mature enough, will you just say you don't get a male yet? Or do you still go through with the introductions at 3.5, 4?
That's a great question. The way I keep my snakes, I have never been in a situation where that snake's hitting 3.5, 4, and not of size, right? Unless it's like a pure small bloodline SD, right? Some of those 3s a little too young, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Typically, pure calatos, a lot of the pure calatos that I bred for the first time, typically are at least 5, right? I'll run those through the paces at 4, maybe. I would run through and put the male in, but just strictly just intros, not an actual breeding, right? Unless the stars line and that snake is like, yep, I'm ready. I'm totally ready. Then I'll move forward, but cautiously, right? But at that point, because of the way I care for my snakes, they are of a good size to breed. And I think as long as you're feeding them right and doing right by the snake, again, pay attention to your snakes. When they crawl over an object, if they're flattened out, but they're like super wide, well, that's snakes overfed and then not been fed, right? You want them to kind of stand up a little bit, not necessarily like a rectangle or an egg, but you want them to have a little bit of height to them, right? They're semi-arboreal, or more than semi, depending on the actual snake, right? So as long as it's in good health and it's been taken care of and it's been fed up right, I don't think at 3.5, 4 years old you'd have any issues.
Okay.
Does that answered that question?
Yeah.
I kind of went on a little bit of a rant there. Sorry.
Yeah. It's with her specifically, want to make sure if somebody said you have to sell all your snakes today except for one, that's the one that stay. So obviously she's pretty special to us. So want to make sure that it is you want to make sure that the introduction goes well, but you also want to make sure that she's of size. You don't want to run into any medical issues or anything like that, because her health is much more important to me than that. And I kind of wanted to get a gauge on, is there a formula to it for you? Or is it just kind of a knowing your animals type thing?
For me, the way I would explain that is just knowing my animals. If you get the animals at a younger age and you've had them for a couple of years, and these things require a certain amount of time, right? And if you're not putting that time in with them, then you don't know your snake, and it makes it really hard if you don't know your snakes, right?
Yeah.
I could tell you all the tips and tricks in the world, but if you're not doing right by the snake, then it doesn't really matter, right?
Sure.
And I think the retics are one of those few species that you can tell, if they're not being taken care of, they're not being taken care of.
Oh yeah.
They're skinny, they're overweight and unexercised, just lay in the tub all day. I mean, you get what you put in.
Yeah, absolutely. Will you trying to think of how to word this one, but obviously you want them to be more of an athletic fit. You want them to be a little bit more athletic because they are semi-arboreal. Do you find in snakes that you get, say, from other breeders, breeder loans, whatever, if they're a little bit overweight, do they not have as much success? Is it kind of, do they start having fertility issues, or do the males start having problems if they're overweight?
So I wouldn't critique what another keeper or / breeder is doing. I would evaluate the snake that I purchase at the time of purchase, and based off of what I see, I would go from there. If a snake was slightly overweight or slightly underweight, I would want to make sure that that snake is good, healthy before I start to do any of the breeding or intros or any of that. I would never start with an unhealthy snake. You run the risk of losing it. You run the risk of losing both snakes. It's not a good idea, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be a healthy snake, and do your due diligence with that, right? If you feel the snake is a little underweight, consult with a couple of people. I think that Instagram and Facebook are great social medias that we could be utilizing as tools instead of some of the stuff that we do use it for now. But reach out to people and ask everybody's opinion. Hey, what do you think of this? Hey, what do you think of this? There's a lot of people out there that just want to help, and I think that's a good resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
That help you?
Yeah, I'm in your personal experience, I guess. Let me rephrase that a little bit. In your personal experience, saying the snake is healthy, just maybe a little bit overweight, a little bit chunkier than you would like it to be. Do you run into any issues there, or do you see that it just kind of works itself out? Not critiquing anybody's keeping or anything like that. That I didn't mean anything by that. It was more of a fitness level type thing. Do you see issues come up with those type of snakes where you wouldn't in one that has tone?
Yeah. So if the snake is overweight or underweight, you're going to have problems breeding. It makes it a little bit more difficult. If the snake was overweight and I wanted to try to correct that, there's a lot of ways to do that, right? Exercise and reduce the food. Those two things alone can really do a lot for a snake. However, sometimes in some scenarios, it's difficult to do that, whether it be amount of time the snake has been overweight, the age of the snake, just the overall health of the snake. It's not like a dog where you got to feed it once or twice a day, right? These things in the wild, it's not like they eat every Tuesday, right? So I try, for me, what works the best for me is emulating what happens in the wild. So I don't have a set schedule where every Tuesday I feed the snakes. I'm in there playing and having fun with my snakes, and if they look like they need a meal, I'm going to give them a meal. If it's been a while since they've eaten, I'm going to throw them a meal regardless. I try to keep them active. I try to keep high or tall cages or tall tubs with small snakes so they have the ability to climb up. I put bamboo and totes and sticks and all kinds of stuff in the cages so they have stuff to climb on. Sure. And then other than that, I take them out in the yard and put them in, I have some small trees. I'll put them in the small trees, let them climb around. Be cautious of the hawks if you have hawks in your area or any kinds of birds of prey.
Yeah. We won't lose one that way.
Yeah, that would not be a fun day, huh? But yeah, I just try to keep them as healthy as I possibly can. And I would want that snake to be as healthy as it can be before I would try to breed it. Does that help?
Yeah, sure. So the snow female, as I said before, she's a little bit older. She's 15, 16 range, not exact on that, but around the 15 to 16 range. At what point with females that you have, will you start considering to kind of pull them back and not pair them up anymore?
So I feel like that's two different questions. A 15 or 16-year-old snake that has, correct me if I'm wrong, but not successfully had a good viable clutch?
Not within the last couple of years.
Okay, so has had a good viable clutch, but in the last couple of years just has not.
I think so. Yes.
That's a snake that I would try. I don't know that 15 or 16 is too old. If they live in between 25 and 30 years, midlife, give or take,
Yeah.
right? I don't know that I would try to breed that snake 5 years in a row or anything like that, but I'd give it a go. Me personally, with snakes that I owned, I don't know that all of my females have been young, and I've been blessed or in a position where, as they started to get older, I would sell them, let them go to other people. After a couple of years of breeding them, genetic wise, if it didn't really make sense to keep it, I would just move the snake on. The oldest snake that I ever owned was Karma, and she's now at Reach Out. Garrett bred her, I think, last year or the year before, but to my knowledge, she's only been bred 3 times. I don't know that that's a snake that we should be breeding and putting more out there. She's a pretty big girl, but
Yeah.
I just kind of play it by ear. If you've had the snake for a while and you know your snakes and you're interacting with them, you kind of understand. They, at a certain time, it's no longer a good idea to keep trying to breed them. Whatever that age is, I wouldn't want to put a number on it, right? Because anything can and will happen. If it's a healthy, good snake and it's 20 years old and she's going through the paces and she wants to breed, I mean, it's up to you. I feel that if it's a good, healthy snake, yeah, go for it.
She's the only, for a while, she'll be the only, I guess, adult that I have. She's the only adult retic that I have currently, and everything else I've got fairly young and kind of grown up. So I've not had the experience of that, like watching them grow a little bit older, or having them at adult size and being able to read that body language of saying like, "Hey, no, I'm done," or I have no desire to do this anymore. And that's obviously something that you get with time. But it's hard to gauge because you want to do the morally right thing by her as well. You want to do the right thing and not risk her health or put her through something that she doesn't need to. I think 15, 16 is fine, or else I probably wouldn't do it. I guess mine is more at what point do I go, no, I'm good. And I guess the way that I saw it was 2 more clutches. I would try 2 more times and kind of see how it went, and then kind of reevaluate it after that.
Yeah. Putting eyes on a snake and being able to see him, that would be a good way to look at it and say, she's good, healthy, everything looks fine. You run her through the courses food wise, and she's right on par with what they would typically do when that happens. I don't see any reason why you couldn't breed her a couple more times, a few more times, as long as she's in good health.
Yeah.
And shoot me a video of her. I'll give you my opinion if you start to question it, or if you feel like you're like,
Yeah. The guy that the friend that I'm getting her from, I trust him, and I trust what he tells me, or else I wouldn't be going through this. You want to obviously get adults from somebody that you trust, behavior wise and health wise.
Absolutely.
So it was something that he was willing to try out. I was willing to try out, and I wholeheartedly believe that he thinks she can go again. So, and he's been doing this a lot longer than me. So I rest in that pretty good. It excites me, getting a snake of that quality. even if she is a little bit older, and just trying it out, man. Get another shot at
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. And you said she's a snow, visual snow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. She's 50% Kalatoa, 25% Jampea.
Okay.
And I think, I could be mistaken, I think originally she was bred by Prehistoric Pets.
Okay.
But she looks awesome. She looks really good.
And that's you're going to put your platinum head snow?
No, he's just a pos het snow. So he's actually 50. He's actually 50 Kalatoa and 25 Jampea as well. Percentages are identical.
Nice.
He's just pos het. So got him just as a pet, and I've kept him. Sometimes he can have a little bit of a gnarly attitude. So before I kind of moved him on, if I ever do, I wanted to kind of try it just to see. Curiosity killed the cat, I guess.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, everything comes out double het. So
yeah, because she's a visual. Yeah.
Yes. So that was kind of the worst case. He's a really good looking snake as well. So I thought, we'll try it, and if nothing else, there'll be some really pretty normals, wild type retics.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
So, in your do you do a variety? Because obviously you've done a lot of breedings, right?
One or two.
Yeah. And do you have some that you feel like are a little bit higher risk, high reward? Do you do some? To me, the pure Philippine tribal clutch is not low risk. Everything's going to come out, pure Philippine. So it's going to be obviously valuable to others. In this type of scenario, double het, a het snow is a dime a dozen in this market for retics. Do you have breedings that you do where you go, if this works out, this is going to be awesome. Like, this is going to move me forward. If it doesn't, I may be holding on to some snakes for a while.
Yeah, that's the gamble everybody takes when they breed a snake, man. The best advice I could give you there is, put your finger on the pulse of the market, see what people are into, and produce more of those. It sounds like a very obvious advice, but those are the things that could happen. You end up with a bunch of snakes, and you put a price tag on it and they don't sell, and then you got to make the choice of, do I drop my price? And you drop your price. Sometimes that pisses people off, and they feel like they got to tell you that you're destroying their market, and you drop the price too far and end up pissing a lot of people off. Then you're putting snakes in hands of people. It's more of a disposable pet kind of a situation rather than a lifetime or a long-term situation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that go into that. I don't know that everybody should breed. Advice my wife gave me once was, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think that's really good advice,
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with snakes when she told me that, but, it is what it is. It was, but that's good advice. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I think it's an unbelievably educational situation, though. And we've talked a little bit, and I understand the situation that, you want to show younger generations what you're doing, and, the whole experience, right? So the best idea, or the best advice I can try to give you on that, or some of the best advice I can give you is, you start doing the pairings, put it out there on social media, man. Start to drum up some customers while you're doing it. Worst case scenario, you just say, hey, I put you on the waiting list. If it ever does happen, I'll let you know. but it doesn't hurt to pre-market your clutches, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what, with my social media anyways, it's turned into a bunch of things. I guess the social media does. For somebody who's active on social media, I kind of feel like it's kind of moved away from the business a little bit. It's almost become kind of a journey at this point of, helping people understand that retics aren't the monsters that they're made out to be.
Yeah.
They absolutely will bite you. They absolutely will. But kind of being in tune enough with them, as you brought up before, to know that they say today's not the day. I don't want to do this today. And having enough respect for them to kind of hang it up and pushing your ego to the side. But that's kind of what the social media has turned into. And that was the whole point of it, was to, pre-market yourself and kind of show what you were about. That way, if something like that didn't work out, you come out with a bunch of wild types, there's still people that would want that because they want retic that has a pretty good behavior about it. Which kind of leads me into my next question. Do you find, so Apollo is the pos het snow. He has a little bit of an attitude. It's not all the time. Sometimes he can be great. Sometimes he's just not wanting to do it. Do you find in breeding let's say a male that has a bad attitude and a female that has a good attitude, do you find that their behaviors are kind of 50-50 in the babies? If you breed, two with a pretty good temperament, do the babies come out with a good temperament? Or is it kind of just variable?
I think it's variable. I think I don't know that behavior is a genetic trait that's passed on, right? I think it's, I have two other brothers. I was in sports. Neither of my other brothers were. I was in martial arts. Didn't bother me to jump in the ring and kick another guy in the face and get kicked in the faces at the same time. My older brother never did sports. So one could say I was a little bit more violent than him. But, it wasn't because my dad was violent. Now I'm violent. It was just the way that I'm me, right?
Yeah.
It's the way that I am. And I think it's more about that with the snakes. It's not, I have the two friendliest snakes in the world, and their clutch is going to be the most friendliest snakes ever now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So, and I kind of wondered, because I'd heard, just in groups of people talking about breeding for temperament, in retics, and well, not even in retics, just in different species altogether. And I didn't know how much that held true, if that was something that you had ever seen.
My experience, that's all I can speak to, right? And in my experience, my understanding of the way this works, is it's not a trait that can be passed on. It's more of a mentality rather than a trait, right?
Gotcha.
So if you don't mind, let's go over a couple of tips and tricks you can try with this female, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one, definitely the feeding. I encourage that just because I've had females that are difficult to breed, and just feeding them and throwing males in there. When I was a mainland breeder, I would just feed until it couldn't eat anymore or didn't want to eat anymore, right? I wasn't worried about how big they got. They're mainlands. And that usually was a sign that they're going to start breeding. When it comes to the dwarves and the super dwarves, my experience, if you kind of fluctuate that seasonally, it puts you in a little bit of a better situation to actually achieve what we're trying to. So number one would be that. I would definitely do the feeding. Number two would be putting shed of that male in there, right? Or putting that male in there again, just as a intro rather than a breeding, and seeing how it goes and doing it every week, right? Breeding season over here in the States is usually over the winter. At that point, wherever you are in the United States, whenever you feel like it's starting to get cold and it's starting to be that breeding season, start doing the intros, right? Every week, every other week. Like I said, it's a 2-week window. So as long as you have that male in there once every 2 weeks at minimum, and she's receptive and they do their thing, you should be good to go. Another key thing that I realized this year, a lot more so than any other time, I was on the phone. I had earbuds in. I was on the phone talking to my mom while I was cleaning some cages, and I had just started to feed these 2 females or 3 females up. I was just starting to give them a heavy amount of food, or a heavier amount of food to get them conditioning for breeding. And I was cleaning, and I got done cleaning, and I was filling a water bowl, which is actually one of those black and yellow lid totes that you get at Home Depot. That's usually what I have is the water bowls for the bigger snakes. And I just cut a circle on the side of it and put the lid on and fill it up with water. And then they could go in there, they could soak, they could drink, do whatever they want, right? So I put the hose in there and turned it on. I was talking to mom, yada, yada, yada. Next thing I know, there's about 2 inches of water throughout that entire cage. I was like, oh, man, this is horrible. You should be better at this, Rob. So I drained out as much as I could. I still left a little bit of water in there, right? I wasn't able to get it all out, or I didn't, right? Whatever. Yeah. And the humidity just went through the roof. And 2 out of those 3 females, boom. Within the next week, they were receptive of males. Put them in there, got locks. I'm, I think, 5 days out of eggs on egg watch for the one female, and the other female is just finishing up her pre-lay shed right now. So jack that humidity up, man. Start hitting with some meals, jack that humidity up, throw a male in. That's the perfect storm. I seen the success this year, and I believe that is something that I will probably do next year as well, just to try to humidity up. Yeah, jack that humidity up, and if you have good caging and it's really sealed, just dump some water in there. That's all it takes. Right underneath the heat panel or whatever your heat source is, right under there, just dump some water. Boom, that humidity goes up, and it worked wonders for me this year.
So do you think that UVB would be beneficial for like an older female, like a lot of sunlight, some UVB lighting, something like that? Do you think that would be beneficial?
I personally have never used any kind of UVB, UVA, none of that. I think just last year was the first time I put a light in the cage. I just never really do it.
Really?
Yeah. Shocking, huh?
Yeah, I mean, no, not shocking, I don't guess. I think I'd heard of people doing it as kind of like a supplemental thing. Obviously it's not a necessity or anything like that. Like, it's a supplemental thing. And I wondered with an older female if that would help. I plan to, when I get her, have her outside quite a bit, and let her get a lot of sunlight. Let her kind of roam around the yard, get the exercise, and get the sunlight. And I guess a better way to say that, instead of pinning you down and making you feel bad about lights, is
I don't feel bad.
Do you use it as it was more of a supplemental thing. I take mine outside all the time. I love seeing them outside because they look so much different. Their color is so much different. And I didn't know if you'd seen that kind of play factor as well.
No, I'll tell you another thing that I would highly recommend is fish oil. Load some fish oil into the prey item of that female before you start doing any intros or anything with that female, especially the older one. I hit all my females right before breeding season. I'll load the prey item with some fish oil, or take a syringe, suck the oil right out of the fish oil, hold the mouth open, shoot it down its throat, whatever you want to do. Excuse me for a second.
Is this a bad time to ask where you learned that?
I'm sorry.
I said, is this a bad time to ask where you learned that? The fish oil?
Yeah. Yeah, the fish oil. It kind of helps. It kind of just coats everything up, especially an older female. I would highly recommend you do that for her. And it's not like you need to give them 100 pills. 1 or 2 pills every other meal. It doesn't need to be, it's not specific, right? It's just trying to get that fish oil in there and kind of, I don't know exactly what it does. I'm not a scientist or a veterinarian, but I know at Reach Out Reptiles, we had a female that went egg bound, and fortunately, she was still able to eat smaller prey items. And I just loaded those things up with fish oil, and eventually, it kind of just lubed everything up. And she started passing the eggs, and a year later, you'd never know. She was good as new. I think we actually bred her after that and had a successful clutch. So the fish oil really does help, and I would assume that with an older female, it really, really would help you. Just lessen the chances of anything negative happening. And that's why I do it with all my females right before breeding season and into breeding season. I'll just hit them with some fish oil. And if you want to get more detailed on that, give me a call and we'll talk privately on that if you're okay with that.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed that. I've never heard that. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it just kind of lubes them up. I don't know exactly what it is. Like I said, I'm not a vet or anything.
It makes sense, though. I mean, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, we actually at Reach Out Reptiles, we did a video on it, and I'm shoving fish oil pills down the butt of a rat. It's like, yeah, this is what you do, man. And that's the whole thing. Like, you wouldn't know that unless you pay attention to the animals and try different things. Just because everybody kind of stays in that box, right? And there's no room for learning if you just cookie cut everything, right? So I constantly am telling people, pay attention to the snakes, listen to the snakes, try different things. I was on the phone with my mom and found out that if I jack the humidity up, the snakes are more prone to breed. Like, life is happening for a reason the way it is, right? And just lean into that and try different things. I don't know all the tips and tricks. I know what's gotten me to where I'm at right now. And it's just doing stuff like that, thinking outside the box.
Do you find that storms, like barometric pressure with storms, like storm fronts when they come through, do you find that works as well?
Yeah, and if I could figure out a way to emulate that, boy, I tell you what, I'd be all over it. Yeah, some of my problematic breeders, man, a storm front come in, I'm running out there throwing a male in.
Storm chaser Rob's ready to go.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, man, I had a dry throat. Sorry.
So with both food and with the introductions, do you have a start date that you fluctuate that?
Yeah, and I think it's going to vary depending on where you're at in the country, right? When I was in Pittsburgh, usually by like September, I would start doing some increase in the food, maybe do an intro, see what's happening. Down here in the South, it's a little bit warmer. I think it was close to 70 degrees down here today. I'm a little bit later. So I'm going November, right? Because it's just not cool enough. In my opinion, that little bit of drop in temperature, even though it's outside and everything's regulated inside, it does something. And so for me down here, it's actually a month or two further later in the year. Where are you out of?
Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, you're not far from me then. Yeah.
No, it's a little bit cooler up here than it is there. I think it was in like the low 50s today, mid 50s.
Okay. So you might be more of like middle of October.
Yeah, that's really when you start seeing the change is like early October, mid-October. September can still be kind of hot, but you can really start telling that change when October hits. But I didn't. As soon as you see that temperature change, that's when you kind of turn everything on for them.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to start trying, right? I'm going to start hitting them with some more food. I'm going to start doing some intros. I'm going to just pay attention to my females and see what they're telling me. If they're aggressively coming out for that food, I'm going to hit them with a little bit more food and then try to hit them with a male. If they're not seeming so interested, I'm going to kind of space it out a little bit and kind of ramp it up a little bit later in the year. Try to get them to go later when it's a little bit more cooler out. So it's just really paying attention to the animal. And like I said, Joe nailed it and was just like, man, you put that snake in there once a week, you're good. And I was like, every new breeder should be doing it like that. Just throw the snake in.
Do you find that the males are a little bit more difficult to deal with when that time comes around?
I think they can be. Yeah. I've had friends of mine take some pretty serious bites from males during breeding season. I've had males that, they go the complete opposite direction. And, all of a sudden they're the friendliest snake in the world. And they're just like, yeah, put me in with her. I'm ready, Dad. I'm ready. Let's go.
Really?
It just kind of breeding season changes them a little bit, right? Whether it's the males or the females. If you're doing it, know what you're doing and have somebody with you. These things are no joke, man.
Is there a sign that you look out for? Like I know that they hunch a little bit, like the males will kind of hunch up a little bit. Is there something that you look for to kind of give a sign, be like, I might want to be a little bit more careful with him?
So, yeah, every male I take out of any cage at any point during an overlapping that breeding season, I'm hyper focused, watching everything I could possibly watch and being as careful as I possibly can. Whether that means having somebody in the room with me, whether that means opening all the doors and making sure that there's ample room to do whatever I need to do, plenty of room to maneuver. I try to be as careful as I possibly can because, sometimes you just don't know, that you get that male that open up his cage and he looks totally fine and you hook him and you start pulling him out and all of a sudden he just comes right back and just tries to grab you. And it's like, holy cow, I didn't see that coming. Be prepared for all of that. These are live animals. They can and do anything.
Yeah, I think that's one aspect of it that a lot of people don't talk about is, I know my animals pretty well because I spend a lot of time with them. I have two that can be a little bit grumpy, but they don't actively come for me hardly anymore. They see me so much, they're so used to me. The fear factor in that is that now October rolls around and it is spooky season because they're going to throw you a curveball, and you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're no joke.
It's raring to go. You know what I mean? And I look at that as a chance to improve my skills, right? I'm a huge opponent, whatever, of the 1/3 rule. I was just telling a young lady this the other day. When you're handling a snake that you don't know, or you're just a little unsure of what's happening, or a male during breeding season, I implement the 1/3 rule. And the 1/3 rule is simple, right? And if you took that snake and you cut it into thirds, you have the first third, the back third, and the middle third. Your safest spot is that middle third. They don't really want the head touched. They don't really want the tail touched. Stay in that middle ground. Don't let them anchor on you. My experience is if they grab you with that back third and they hold on tight, they're coming around. The front's coming around, man. So don't let them anchor on you. Kind of keep them moving and just keep in that middle third area. as best as you can. Point that head in the direction you want it to go and just move accordingly.
Yeah, man. They are so smart. They're really intelligent snakes, and I think that's what draws me to them. And it's also weird sometimes how quick those moods can change. How quick with some of them, not all, most of mine are pretty chill all the time, but you'll have one that has a little bit of an attitude, and this is not during breeding season. And that mood will kind of change a little bit. Something will spook, or something will kind of go the way that they didn't expect it to go. And it's game on.
Absolutely. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. Not one more, maybe a couple more. But another thing I wanted to mention to you as well. I don't know how everybody does it slightly different. The way I do it is I put tape on the front of that cage on the glass, and I just document every little thing that happens. Sheds, defecates, urinates, was sitting in the water bowl, ate a meal, put the mail in, locks, anything and everything. The more information that you can gather, it's just more data for you to analyze and critique the next time. So I'm a huge fan of that, and just documenting everything. And then as you move on and you get a couple of breedings under your belt and you feel a little bit better about it, and you get to that point where you just kind of pull the snake out and get a good feel of her and look at her and go, well, she's ready. Then obviously track whatever you feel is necessary. I don't track a lot these days. If I'm being 100% honest, I can typically look at the snake and say, okay, 2 more meals and she's ready to go, or she's ready now, or I've gone to people's places and done consultations and walked in and just said, you need to throw a male in there right now, and then boom, within hours they're locked up. It's you do it enough times, you get a little better at it each time, and perfect your craft. So detailed information in the beginning is crucial, especially with any new snake, or a snake in this scenario like the snow it's been around the block once or twice, and just unsure of what's happening there. A young male to that snake could result in some slugs as well. So I'm not sure if you told me, and if you did, I'm sorry. I don't remember how old your male was. You'd want him to be older the better, but not too old, right?
He is coming up on, I think, 3.
Okay. So he's young, but he's not too young.
Yeah, he's coming up on 3. He's had a little bit of time to progress. He's been kind of a slow grower. He goes in spurts. But he's just now around probably the 7 foot, 6 to 7 foot range.
Okay.
Sperm
plugs?
I haven't checked with him yet.
Okay.
It's probably something I need to do, but he's such a pain sometimes that I've put it off.
Well, we're not in breeding season.
Yeah.
You're not putting them in right now. Something to watch out for when he goes to the bathroom. Sometimes you'll see it on the side of the poop, or even the urates or something. You'll see just those 2 little stringy things. I always check for it. It actually brings up another idea in my head that I should probably tell you as well. When you go to put your male in, look where that vent is, and then towards the tip of the tail. That's where those 2 hemipenes would be, right? So if this is the vent and their head's up here and their tail's down here, right along that wrist, right? There's the vent right along on each side. That's where the hemipenes will sit. Mm-hmm. When you take that male out, say you did a breeding and you had him in overnight, you didn't see him lock. You went to bed. You wake up the next day. You're like, oh, man, did they lock? I don't know. How would you tell? Those 2 hemipenes, sometimes they'll be swollen, right? Mm. And you'll just see just a slight swell in that area and defined hemipenes. And that's a sign that he was locked up, right? Because that swelling is that he was erect. and hopefully he was inside her when he was, and that's a lock. So that's something that I always look for, just to see when I pull that male out the next day, see if he has larger hemipenes or swollen hemipenes.
And that's
It's a good sign that they were locked.
That's a pretty pronounced thing that you can tell.
Yeah. I mean, if he locked, say you put him in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 8 o'clock at night, you're no longer in that room, and he locked at 8 o'clock, and you don't pull him back out until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you might not see it. If you're curious, first thing in the morning, just head in there and see if he has some swollen hemipenes. If he does, then he locked.
Huh.
Yeah. Nice little tip trick for you, huh?
Yeah, I would have never thought to just completely, that would have completely went past me. I would have never thought about that.
I've pulled so many males out over the years, and just one time I happened to look and was like, holy cow. This guy's pretty swollen. And then just kind of started looking for it. And now I just naturally tend to look to see if he has swollen hemipenes.
Huh. I guess I never thought that was a possibility that they could, like after that they would. But that's definitely a good tip, man.
Yeah. It's, little things like that. Like I said, thinking outside the box, looking at things in a different perspective. Everybody tends to say, this is how you do it. And then just stick to that. Don't do anything different. Just stay to this. There's pros and cons to that. What works for me here in northern Georgia might not work for you in Kentucky, or it might not work for somebody in Michigan. It's just, variations of it. And, it just comes down to knowing the snakes, knowing the animals, spending time with them and understanding what they want and what they don't want.
Yeah. So if you have a pairing that's worked out, you have it in your head and you're locked in on it, right? There is no deviation from that. And it's
not
just
typically
not working out. Not typically. Obviously, you don't want to mix and match too much, because then you're going to be playing a guessing game unless it's painfully obvious.
Yeah.
But
and sometimes you get a double-sided clutch too.
So that kind of leads me into that question as well. That's a possibility. That's something that you've seen.
A double-sided clutch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happens. I don't typically get that in my collection because I'm very specific as to what I'm breeding and why I'm breeding. I think that there's many reasons why people breed. I think the reason for me is I'm trying to make the best version of what's already out there. Island Morphs, my company, we specifically breed to enhance, in my opinion, the morphs that are out there with different localities. I think that there's a wide open market for that. I think we could be doing all kinds of crazy things with these different localities and how they influence the morphs and how the morphs react to the different amounts of the localities. So I'm very specific. This is what I'm going for. I want to see what this does. Very rarely do I deviate.
Really?
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on this earlier, if male goes in there, you think it's time, you put him in there, you never see a lock, right? She never goes. Do you try that pairing again later on down the road? Like maybe the next year you're like, I really want that to go. I really want to try to do that. Do you immediately try the next year, or do you throw a curveball and do something else for it?
So in order for that breeding not to happen, there's a bunch of different things that I'm trying along the way, right? Just to kind of clear that up a little bit. I'm going to take shed from another male. I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to take another male out of his cage, take that male, put him in there for a little bit, get him all riled up, and then put him in with the female. There's a lot of different things like that you can do to try to entice that male to breed. With the female, it's pretty much just the humidity, the food, the temperatures, and timing, right? With the male, there's a couple other little things that you can do. So I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to try to get that male to breed. If he doesn't breed, it really just kind of depends on why I was originally doing that breeding. I'll give you for instance. This year I paired a Halmahera to a Calotoa, and it looks like the Calotoa is reabsorbing. It just doesn't look good. She took a mule the other day, and it's kind of late in the process for her to be eating, so it kind of keys me on to that didn't work. Next year, my plan with her this fall was to breed a pure Calotoa male back to her. It would be her son, but it is what it is. That's what I'm choosing to do. Because this breeding didn't happen, I'm on the fence because I really want to produce the Halmahera Calatoas. I think those are going to be really nice. And to my knowledge, nobody's done it yet. So I'm really kind of on the fence. I may mix it up and take that pure Calatoa male and run it to Halmahera female. I just don't know. I know I want to see what a Halmahera Calatoa looks like. And I really think that the mom in this scenario, was going to be mom, her pattern and her look, her overall, I think would complement or help enhance the Halmahera's attributes as well. She's a dark snake. Halmahera is a dark locality, dark on dark. You can't go wrong, in my opinion. So I'm on the fence, but I have plenty of time to, think about it and see what I want to do there.
In your own personal, you say that you don't really deviate a whole lot. You kind of get your mindset on something and you want to see it through because you really want to see this snake happen. I'm the same way. Biggest fear is you calculate it up and you look at your snakes and you kind of see how they work, right? For me, not having done that yet, I'm still just kind of playing abstract here, and just kind of seeing, kind of imagining it in my mind. For you, somebody that's had a few clutches, did you have some that you were really excited about that they came out and they were like duds and you were like, what the hell happened? And then vice versa, you were like, it could be okay. And then they come out, you're like, holy cow, like that worked a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, so I would have to say the majority of my career, the most snakes that I produced was through Reach Out Reptiles. And I see things differently than what we were producing at Reach Out Reptiles. Like I said, the Island Morphs, it's all about that locality influence. And some of the pairings that we did at Reach Out, there was some locality influence, but not as much as what I'm into now. I can't praise Rodney enough in the aspect of the way that he's looking at this and breaking things down as far as breeding is concerned. It just puts a whole nother level onto what we should be doing to produce the nicest snakes out there. And that mentality, and just talking with him over the past few years, and I kind of had a vision for this as well back in the day, but I don't want to say my hands were tied, but I was producing things for Reach Out Reptiles and Garrett's vision. It's just as of recent, I'm able to explore that on my own, and I'm really anxious to see some of the things that are in the incubator or hopefully going into the incubator and seeing how they come out this year. I think that'll really kind of set the path for me.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question? I kind of went off a little bit there too.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I think that there has been, for a while, there's been a certain set of like, the Kalatoa, Madu, Japeya, all really cool localities, all cool. But then it seems like there was this other group, and that's the group that I kind of fell into, which was like Ternate, Mindanao, Halma, and the colors that come out of those are just awesome. Like the Mindanao gold. Every time I see my Mindanao male, I just think about how gold he is, and what I could put him to make something brighter. And I think that's a unique aspect of those specific localities and what you're doing, that I'm really excited about, and really excited about doing myself as somebody who has mostly Philippine stuff.
Oh yeah, that locality influence, man. When you look at that, I see it as the four big ones, right? You get the Mindanao, the Bohol, the Ternate, and the Halmahera. Those four, sky's the limit. Sky is the limit, and it's just in the beginning. It's been Rodney, and I think Andrew Aceveda, who's been the only ones that really kind of putting it out there and really mixing it up and seeing what those things can do. And man, I tell you what got me excited.
I tell you what completely changed me from the super dwarf to some of those some of the different islands like Ternate, Mindanao. Was I was actually at Tinley, and Andrew had one of Rodney's snakes there, and it was a super Moluku. It's insane. It was. I still don't know why I didn't buy it.
Yeah, I got three. I got three of them.
The back pattern was insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can really manipulate it. And I think that's cool about what Rodney's doing and what he's kind of teaching. Like he's giving free info out as far as that goes. I have two of his snakes, the Mindanao Tiger and Sun Tiger head Indo. They are so bright.
I got some of those too. They're amazing, man. Some of the nicest Sunfires and Sun Tigers I've ever seen.
And they get better every time they shed out.
Oh, yes.
Every time they shed out, I'm like, I'm so glad I did this because you all look great. And everybody that comes in and sees my snakes, those are the ones that they point out. It's not necessarily the tribal because they don't know what they're looking at, I guess.
Yeah.
But with that, they're like, oh, pretty colors. It looks like the sun,
Yeah. For sure, man. That's what I'm saying. My hat goes off to Rodney. Say what you will about him, but I'm telling you this. I'm personally listening to all of his podcasts, going back and watching some of his older videos. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can from what the content that he's put out there, because, man, I tell you what, I think that's the future. I started a business based on it, man.
Yeah, and he kind of goes off into the stuff that I nerd out about, probably the stuff that my wife wants to hit me over the head when I'm watching it because she's like, this is so boring to me. But like even his stuff on like back pattern and then the side banding and rosettes and all that. He just did one not too long ago where he kind of did a deep dive into it, and I'm sitting on the couch like I'm watching Titanic for the first time, like locked in. I'm just trying
rewind,
to
play.
Just student of the game over here, man. Just trying to figure it out.
Same, man.
And then you look at your own stuff differently because of that, because somebody pointed it out to you.
Yeah. Does the what is it? The black comes down and then the rosette and then the black down. Does that all connect? You know what I mean?
Yeah, just the way that he kind of put it was a way that I'd never really thought about it. And he was like, well, if you have this, then you can't have this.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what is he talking about? And then he showed, because he's read so much, you could see he put up those different examples. And you're like, and you kind of have the aha of, oh, he's right. You can't. You can have two, but you can't have three.
Changes it. changes it, man.
I think that's what makes Retics so interesting, man, is because they're so variable, even within their own clutch. You can look at babies from the same clutch, and they're all so different.
Yeah.
As far as symmetry and rosettes and the silver, it's wild, man.
It's definitely sparked something in me. I think I wouldn't, if you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have said, there's only so much we can do. But I kind of had that feeling. And then, just this influx of knowledge with these 4 different localities, man. I'm super excited. I want to do all the breedings right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's going to be fun in the next few years, seeing what things do and seeing how you can manipulate them. And the difference is that, even if we were working on the same project, how you would manipulate the pattern could be different than the way I manipulate the pattern. So at the end of the day, we both could have, just say, Motley Tigers that look completely different from each other, just based on the localities and the percentages of how we mix them, right?
Yeah.
So the world's our oyster.
There's so many variables that I see kind of go into when people do their breedings, and it's not only that pattern portion, but color. I saw somebody that I'll compliment, Joe Hull, has a purple, and I love purple. And there's definitely levels to purple. He has a Coyote purple. I think it's 50%. I could be wrong about that. So bright, looks so good. And
Coyote does good in albino, that's for sure. I've seen some labs and some purples in Coyote, and it definitely makes a good albino.
It was so bright. I mean, it was just so bright, and it's that the kind of brighter Coyote color coming through, and that was what really inspired me with the Mindanao stuff. Like the tribal's a little bit darker, so you can't really see it, but the Mindanao stuff, how bright it is, and I'm like, man, if I could put this in albino, because I love purple, it's going to make everything. These are going to look like golden purple snakes.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I wanted to kind of touch base on a couple of things with you here. One of the other things you said is putting the albino and or the ocelot into the tribals. What are your thoughts on how you want to do that?
So I want to maintain a higher Philippine percentage, a higher Mindanao percentage as best I can. So I could go at it from a way of doing it the quickest way possible, but it gives me a lower percentage. And I think in tribal, what you have is tribal because of the Philippine influence. If I do it the short way, I'm going to get the short outcome,
What do you mean by short way?
So I have brother and sister from that clutch we were talking about, breeding those together, and they would do the 50% Mindanao. We'll just say Indo Sun Tiger. We'll say I'll pull one of those out, and obviously you want a male, and then put one of those males to her. Then you have a head. Don't want to do. Me personally, the brother and sister, I want to see how the Sun Tiger works out, the Indo Sun Tiger works out with the Mindanao. Do one generation of that. But then I kind of want to go off on a different branch with another branch of Indo separately, like a female Indo, and put it to my pure Mindanao male.
Okay.
And have a 50% head there. And then take that to the tribal heads. So it's more of a if you try to throw ocelot into that, because I have actually next week he'll be here, ocelot head Indo, mainland male.
Oh, nice.
So then there's do I just go ahead and throw him to the tiger head Indo, and then 25% Mindanao. You're still going to get a little bit of the color and influence of that, but your steps get longer when you add another recessive into that.
Yeah, and my recommendation in that scenario is if I could break it down into one side of it, right? So let's say you have that Indo sun tiger, right? A visual Indo, and you run that to your tribal, right? So now you have a clutch of 50%, or not tribal, your Mindanao. Is 50% Mindanao, 100% het caramels, right? So one of the obvious breedings is pairing two of those offspring together to make your visual, right? You make your visual at 50%. So you do that and you make a male. But at the same time, at year 1 or year 2, you take the male 50% het and breed that back to a Mindanao, right? So now you're going to be making 75% Mindanao, pos het. Hold back a couple of females. You do your 50-50 breeding. You make your visual. You need a male. Breed that to a couple of your holdback females, right? So you're going to be increasing the amount of Mindanao. At the same time, you're not going to get a full clutch of Indo caramels, but you're going to have a higher percentage of that Mindanao. Does that make sense? Because now you're breeding a 75 to a 50.
Yeah, the only and you kind of bring up a good talking point here, I guess, is going the pos het route, and how much you would have to hold back to, if you're breeding a het to the pure. And
so you also have to keep in mind that the Mindanaos are small clutches. I mean, she might only throw 5, 7, 8, maybe 10. I mean, it'd be a big clutch for a first-time Mindanao.
Because their eggs are pretty large, aren't they?
Correct. Yeah.
So a lot less room to obviously hold some eggs with them being as skinny as they are too.
Yeah, more of a narrow snake, so smaller clutches. So, I mean, if you had to hold back the whole clutch, that's not a bad thing, right?
No.
5, 6, 8, 10 snakes. I mean,
yeah. I guess I never thought of that as a possibility.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I like these smaller clutches is because you now have the ability to just hold the whole clutch. Why not?
Yeah. And I guess that's something that I try to think of, like with the pure Philippine tribal clutch that I would try to do this year, is how much am I going to hold back? If tribal is my thing and I want to do tribal's obviously not in everybody's collection. There's a few people that have them. I know that you have some. And I think Rodney has some like Feluku tribals, the Ternate Philippine tribals. But I guess the question to myself, and what I ask myself all the time is, you're going to go through with this, how much do you hold back and how much do you let go? And what do you let go of? Especially if it's a smaller clutch, because she's, I want to say 25, she's 25% bull hold. And I don't know if that affects it at all. I think it's 75% Mindanao, 25% bull hold. So it'd still be a smaller clutch size because she's a little bit more narrow. But I guess, what are your thoughts on that? As somebody that's, rephrase the question because I rambled there for a moment.
No. Yeah.
How much of that would you hold back if that was your main focus?
I would hold the whole clutch back because it's always easier to sell one with a little bit of size and age to it than it is to try to track it down and buy it back. So if I did that breeding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a pure fill Mindanao Boho mix to a pure fill Mindanao Boho mix tribal.
Yes.
So half the babies are going to be tribal because we're working with a codon, right? So let's just say that it's an 8-egg clutch, right? So 8 eggs, 4 males, 4 females. I'm keeping the whole clutch. I'm seeing which ones color up the nicest. I'm seeing which ones have the attributes that I want to pass along generation-wise, and holding those back permanently and letting a few go after a year or year and a half, 2 years. Doesn't matter, right? If they're males, I might throw them in with a female, see if I can get them to breed. Then now you can put the proven breeder tag on it as well. Not necessary though. I hold the whole clutch.
How long do you, and this is kind of off base here, but it brings up another question I was going to ask earlier. How long are you waiting from the time that they're born until breeding time? How long are you waiting on a male to try one out with a female?
There's a lot of variables that go into that. Is it something that I'm in a hurry? Is it something that, I'm chasing something? Or is it, I just have the male? If I just have the male, I'm not worried about it, man. If it doesn't go in specifically into one of the breedings I want to do, I'm not worried about it. If it's something like I produce this clutch and I can see something, and I know if I took this male and bred it to this one female, I think that I could do this, I'm gonna push him. I'm gonna push him, and I'm gonna breed him within a year, hopefully. If not, I'm gonna breed him on year 2. Yeah. And I shouldn't say within a year. I'm gonna breed him at that year, a roundabout, right?
Is there a certain size for them you look for?
I want him to be a good, healthy body weight. I want him to be, a healthy snake. Males, I believe you want them to be somewhere around that 5-6 foot range. I wouldn't quote me on that, but I really want to be in that area. Just because I need them to be a little bit of size on them, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's obtainable. In 12 months, I think you can get a dwarf. We're talking about a pure dwarf here. I think you can get a pure dwarf male in that 5 to 6 foot range.
Yeah. I think my pure Mindanao male, he's going on 2. If he's not already 2, or he's like right at 2. And my goal was I got to get him ready. I got to get him ready to go, and kind of stressing about it. And I just saw him the other day and I was like, bro, you're good. I don't even know what I'm stressing about. Like you're already there. He's probably at like that 6-7 foot mark.
Yeah. So
he'll be ready to go, and his color is really, really good. So I'll be really excited to see how he turns out with the tribal. But it's interesting to hear how small their clutch sizes are. I guess I never realized how small they were. Like you're saying 8 and you're blowing my mind. So I'm like, yeah, of course at that point I'm gonna hold everything.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I put a number on it, you produce a clutch and there's 20. And I'm like, oh, well, I was close.
I mean,
I
if that
doubt
happens, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. At that point, you got to really pick and choose which one you're going to hold back. But no, I think Rodney has a. He was just telling me this the other day. I want to say it's an F1 female. I don't know how old she is.
Mindanao?
Yeah, just laid. Was it 27 eggs?
She's
But I'm almost certain this isn't her first breeding.
Oh, no, that's not the wild card. You're talking about the F1.
Was it 27, or am I getting that number from something else? I could be totally wrong on all that. My understanding of them is they have small clutches, though. Compared to a mainland, right? The first time I bred Karma, she had 52 or 54 eggs. Like, that's an outrageous amount of snakes. Second time I bred her, she was well into the 70s. 78, I think, 79, something like that. Like,
it's a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of snakes. So, relatively speaking, they're on the smaller end.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with it not being 40 to 50.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to have to pick and choose between 40 and 50. I like picking and choosing between 8 and 10, maybe 12.
Yeah. The males for certain we're all going to get held back. We're all going to get held back. If they were tribal and male, everything's going to get held back. It was the females that I was like, I don't really know. Because it's still 4 years out with them, basically. And that's when they come. When they hatch. And so that was kind of the one that I was hearing on. And then the non-visuals, I guess, just depending on how they turned out. You know, because somebody may want that bullhole blood in there.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I got a mixed female as well. I love them, man. I can't say
Your platinum tribal's growing on me.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice snake, huh?
It's growing on me. I keep looking at it and I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need it. No, I
keep telling yourself that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
No. I think that's one of those tribal. I think that's what's so awesome about it is it's just there's not been a whole lot done with it at a consistent basis that people have tried to maintain what it actually looks like. You know, it kind of gets mixed into that motley when you start taking a lot of the Philippine stuff out of it. So I love to see that you're doing it.
Oh yeah, it's all coming, man. The future's bright, man. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride.
Yeah, man. Same here. I can't wait to see what we both do with it.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. You know, that's what this is all about. If we're not having fun, then we should be doing something else.
Oh, I'm an absolute nerd for it.
Yeah, this is what I was meant to do.
Dude, I made up with it.
Yeah,
I'm like, how do I leave my job and just do this all the time? Like, you guys need to grow a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. You know, it's possible. You know, I haven't quite left my job. I really do enjoy my job, so that would be hard for me to leave. But you know, it is possible. It can happen. You know, expectations. You know, set them high and see where you land.
I think it goes back to the first thing that we were talking about, and it's just kind of let's see how it goes. You know, I've tried to be. If I could have had a Rob Roush like early when I was buying, that would have been great.
Thanks,
so,
man.
so you could have been like, "Hey, don't do that right now. Like, you
Don't buy that.
Don't buy that. You're being
Yeah.
You're gonna be waiting a long time if you do that." But man, it's just kind of seeing how it goes and just like letting it kind of play out and seeing how well you do with it. You know. Not really putting a number on it, or not really putting I want to go full time in it by this date, or I want to go full time at all. Also, part of me is like, man, if it's full time, is it still going to be as fun? But I can see you shaking your head like, yeah, it still is.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's in my DNA. You know. I think regardless if I turned a profit off of owning these things or not, I'd still have them. I just love them. I enjoy them. You know, a stressful day, I go in there, and 10 minutes later, man, I'm cool as a cucumber and just relaxed and enjoying it. Even after all these years, still enjoy holding them. You know, at Reach Out Reptiles, I was known for smelling them. I like the way they smell. It's just different species, smell slightly different to me, so I just enjoy them.
You have a
keen aspect.
You have a keen sense of smell.
Thanks, my man.
You have a keen sense of smell, because I definitely can't do that.
I've never done the blind test, but I bet you I could tell the difference between a berm, a retic, and a ball just by smelling
them. That'd be wild, and I definitely want I definitely want somebody to videotape that when it happens so I can watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I don't think I could live in Georgia, though. I have to do it outside of Georgia. But yeah. Oh, I would love to do that.
I was telling somebody last night, I was telling a really good friend, he also has retics. He has like Sua, pure Sua, and some of the bigger locality stuff. And I was telling him, like, the other snakes that I have, if they were like, you have to get rid of this, you have to get rid of this, and I'm not going to point out any of those species, but you have to get rid of these things. I'd be like, man, that really sucks. I really liked them. And somebody was like, you have to get rid of the retics. I'd be like, says you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come and get them.
You have to take it from me.
Yeah.
Because I made up with it.
Yeah. 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 I love the state of Georgia. Me and my wife have been saying it back and forth for the last almost 3 years now. There's no other place I would want to live. The climate, the people, the culture. I love every bit of it. But if they outlawed retics, I'm moving.
Yeah. Do you think that they will ever get to a point where they will allow import of retics again, wild caught retics again? Or do you think we're pretty much cooked on that?
I think we could fight that battle. I would love to see us fight that battle. I think that the amount of resources needed would be pretty astronomical to be able to fight that battle. I wouldn't. I'm not going to try to say I know how politics work or how the government works or anything like that. I'm a snake guy, man. You give me a snake for a couple of months, I'll tell you everything I know about it. When it comes to politics, I have the tendency to just stay away from that stuff, just because it creates a lot of frustration. We'll say that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that would work. I would like to think that at some point, enough of us keepers are going to get fed up with being told what we can't do and start to push to see what we can do.
Yeah. I've done a lot of research into the topic and started reading the study about how they got banned. It was two professors. They did research on it and what environments they could be in, couldn't be in, whatever. And there's only there's a handful of states that won't allow it. And for those people that have asked me about it, that live in those states, I've said, try T-Morphs.
Yeah.
Try the other one, because you can get those. But the retics are just one of a kind. And I have friends that are like, why don't you move to Florida? I'm like, I like Florida. I like Florida a lot. Not for me. And it's simply because of that I can't take the retics with me, and I won't get rid of them. I'm born and raised in Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I love Georgia. Love both of them. Either outlaw, and I would be nowhere near it.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Can't take my, You can't take my snakes. Sorry.
It's a wild bug right up with,
Yeah, I would hate to have to explain to my wife. I know we found our forever home and we absolutely love it here, but we got to go.
Yeah, well, I don't. Hopefully, neither of us are at any risk of that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, I hope so.
So,
Well,
gentlemen,
do you
how
have
are we
anything
doing?
else for me?
No, not right now. But definitely in the future, I really, really appreciate all your wisdom and all your help.
I appreciate your support. And the best advice, some of the best advice I can give you is, go in there every time you go in with those snakes, have a positive mindset, treat them with respect and do what you're supposed to do. That'll get you far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether you're doing it right or not, right? You got that moral compass, just like we all do. You know how much time you need to be spending in there and how much time you need to be doing the things you need to do. And, you know, like I said, just the positive mindset goes a long way. Try not to negative self-talk. You know, I'm no good at this. I'm never going to make it. You gotta leave all that at the door, man. Be positive, and you're going to go places, man. That's the best advice I can give you.
Dude, Rob, I really, really appreciate it a lot. And I'm a victim to some of those things. But at the end of the day, I love it. So I'll keep doing it. And even if it doesn't work this year, it'll work next year. And if it doesn't work next year, then I'll just keep trying.
You have that much bad luck, man. I'll come out.
You know what?
We'll figure that out.
It doesn't even have to be for bad luck. If you just want to come out and get some bourbon, be happy to have you.
I no longer drink. Only great.
I'll drink. You know what? I'll drink bourbon for you. How about
that? Anytime I feel like I should drink bourbon, I'll just say, "Hey, Alex, drink a glass of bourbon for me, man."
That's a dangerous game. That's a dangerous game for me, not for you. It's a dangerous game for me.
Yeah, that's an easy text. I'll text you later.
Yeah, game on.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I know we ran long tonight. We went. I think we're over 2 hours now, but I feel like, you know, we had a rocky start, but we figured it out, and we got through it. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Dude, so much.
I appreciate you, man. And you know, we'll talk soon.
All right, Rob. See you later, man.
All right, brother. Take care.